Good evening everyone. So students, today we will study a new chapter of science and the name of the chapter is skeletal system and nervous system. Alright, the name of the chapter is skeletal system and nervous system. In the first part of this chapter we will study only about the skeletal system. Okay, this will be the first part of this chapter. And in the next part we will move further with the nervous system. Alright, so now let us see the contents. What are we going to study in this chapter? So students, the contents of this topic skeletal system is skull. What are you going to study in this topic skeletal system? The first one is skull, then rib cage, backbone, limbs, girdles, then function of the skeletal system, then joints, cartilage and muscles. So these are the following topics that is included under the skeletal system. Alright, so now let us begin with, first of all we will begin with the skeletal system. What does it mean? So now students, what is skeletal system? What do you mean by skeleton? You have heard this word skeleton, right? What does it mean? It means the structure of the bones of a human being. You can see the image in the slide. You can make out what is skeleton. Skeleton is a framework of bones. Framework means it is a structure of bones in our body. How our body is made up of bones. It is a framework, also called as skeleton. This framework of the body is called as skeleton that gives support to our body. And why is this skeleton important for us? Because without skeleton, without a proper framework of the body, our body will not get a proper shape or a proper support. This is why skeletal system is very important for us. Okay, skeletal system is the framework of our bones. The bones that is present in our body, in which part the bone will be located, how will it be located, what will be the shape of the body, everything depends on the skeletal part of the body. That is why the skeletal system is known as the framework of bones, and the framework of bones is also called as skeleton that gives support and shape to our body. Okay, there are 206 bones in an adult human skeleton, and in adult human skeleton how many bones does it have? It has 206 bones. Alright, and infant means small babies, small child, they have more than 300 bones. Why do they have more than 300 bones? Do you know? Because when a baby is born or when a human is small in age or when he is an infant, the bones are soft and it is not attached with each other. Some of the bones are very soft. Okay, so the small infants and babies have more than 300 bones, up to 306 or 305 bones they have got. But an adult human, as you grow up, as your body grows, okay, the bones get attached with each other and it reduces from 300 to 206 bone. That is why an adult human body has got 206 bones. Okay, and if you are asked that how many bones does a small baby or an infant have, then you will say they have more than 300 bones. Okay, but if you are asked that how many bones do an adult human have, you will say an adult human have 206 bones. And what is a skeleton? It is a framework of bones in our body, that is skeleton. Alright. So now students, let us begin with skull. What is skull? You can see the picture and you can make out. What is skull? Skull is the head portion of our body. The bones that is present in our head, that is skull. And skull is also called as cranium. What it is called as? It is called as cranium. C-R-A-N-I-U-M. Cranium. See, the cranium or skull is the skeletal structure of the head that supports the face and protects the brain. It is subdivided into facial bone and the brain case. The whole head portion, this is the skull. The bones that we have inside our skin, that is skull. Okay, the bones or the skeletal part of the head is called as cranium or skull. Alright, it is the skeletal structure of the head that that supports the face and protects the brain. The skull, it supports the face, the structure of the face that you have got. It is because of the skull, the cranium. Okay, it supports the face and it also protects the brain inside our body. The brain is protected by the skull inside our body. And this skull is divided into facial bone and brain case. Brain case is the head portion where the brain is situated inside or it is present inside, and the facial bone. The facial bone, it starts from here. This is the facial bone. It gives shape to the face. Alright. Then the skull protects the brain. As I told you, our brain is protected by the skull. The skull of an adult human being generally contains 22 bones. And how many bones does the skull contain? It contains 22 bones. An average adult being, human being, the content of the bone is 22. Alright. Then all bones in the skull are fixed except the lower jaw. All the bones in the skull are fixed with each other except the lower jaw. Lower jaw means this portion, your mouth portion. It is not connected together. Why? Because the movable lower jaw enable us to talk and eat. The upper and lower jaw have teeth. The upper jaw and the lower jaw, what does it has? It do not has bones, but it has got teeth. That is why the jaw portion of the skull or cranium is not connected with each other. Why? Because it helps us to talk, it helps us to eat. How can we move our mouth? Because of the help of this upper and lower jaw. Alright, the bones inside are not attached with each other. That is why it is movable, by which you can talk and you can eat. I hope you understood this. Skull is also called as cranium. Okay. This skull, it supports the face and protects the brain that is present inside our head. Alright. And the skull of an adult human being generally consists of 22 bones. How many bones? It consists of 22 bones. Alright. And all the bones in the skull are fixed except the lower jaw. All the bones from the head to the ear, everything, these are all fixed except the lower jaw where the mouth is situated. Why? Because it helps to move it, by which we can talk and we can eat. Alright. And now students, let us study about the rib cage. Now what is rib cage? First we studied about the skull, the head portion. The bones, that is the skeleton that is present from the head, in the head. And now we will study the rib cage, the portion of our chest. Now what is rib cage? Ribs are thin and curved bones that form a cage in the chest called the rib cage. The bones that you have nearby the chest, the bones that you have in your chest, that are called as ribs. That means it is divided into parts. One rib, two rib. Okay. So that is called, and it forms a cage-like structure. Okay. It forms a cage-like structure. That is why the rib is called as the rib cage. The skeleton is called as the rib cage. Alright, the rib cage protects our heart and lungs. And what does it protect? It protects the soft internal organ that is present inside our body, that is heart and lungs. Where is our heart and lungs present? In the chest, right? And those soft organ, the heart and lungs, is protected by this rib cage. Okay? Then most people have 12 pair of rib cage. How many pair of rib cage is present in a human? 12 pairs. Alright. A long bone at the center of the chest is called sternum, that holds the rib from the front. The middle portion of your chest. If you touch, you can feel a bone in your chest, right? The middle bone that is present inside, that is called as what? It is called as sternum, through which the ribs are connected, and it forms a cage. Okay, it holds the ribs from the front, that forms a cage inside which the soft organs like heart and lungs are present, and it is protected by this rib cage bones. Okay, then the ribs are also attached to the backbone at the back. This rib cage are attached to the backbone, the bone that you have at the back of your, The backbone is present in your back. These ribs are connected to that backbone, which forms a cage. Alright. Then, however, the last two pairs of ribs are not attached to the sternum and so are called floating ribs. The last two ribs of your rib cage, those are not attached to the sternum. Sternum means the bone that is present in the center of the chest. It is not connected with that center bone. So that is why it is called as floating ribs. Floating rib means it does not float, okay? It is not connected to any of the bone. That is why it is called as floating rib. You can see in the picture and you can make out what is a rib cage. Can you see? The pair of bones are connected to each other with a single bone that is present at the center of the chest. That is sternum. Okay? And through that sternum, the ribs are coming out and it forms a cage-like structure inside which the soft organs like heart and lungs are protected by this rib cage. Okay, which forms a shape of the chest. This rib cage also forms the shape of the chest. Alright, and the floating ribs are those ribs which are not connected to the sternum, the center bone of the chest. It is not connected with it. That is why these ribs which are not connected to the sternum are called as floating ribs. I hope you understood this. Now let us move to the next topic. And now students, let us study about the backbone. First we studied about the skull, then the rib cage, and now we will study about the backbone. Can you see the picture? The long bone, that is, it starts from the neck and it ends to the hip. This backbone, it starts from the neck, the bone is attached from the neck and it ends to the hip. Okay, see, the backbone protects the spinal cord. The spinal cord that is present back of your neck, it protects that spinal cord. It is made up of 33 small bones called vertebrae. In singular form, you will call it as vertebra, and when it is many bones, then you will name it as vertebrae. Vertebrae is the plural form of vertebra. It is written there Singular is vertebra, and when we write the plural form of vertebra, we write it as vertebrae. V-E-R-T-E-B-R-A-E, vertebrae. Okay? The backbone is also called the vertebral column. The another name of backbone is what? Vertebral column. Okay? The floating ribs from the rib cage are attached to the backbone. And the floating rib that I told you, which is not attached to the sternum, where it is attached? It is attached to the backbone of our body. Alright, and this backbone, it supports the back to stand, to keep our back straight and still. Okay, we straighten our back with the help of this backbone. It is present in our back. Alright. And now students comes the limbs. Now what are limbs? We have two pair of limbs. The upper limbs or arms and the lower limbs or leg. The hand and the legs are called as limbs. What are these called as? These are named as limbs, L-I-M-B-S. The hand or the arm part is called as upper limb and the legs are called as lower limb. The bones or the skeletal that you name, it is called as limbs. Okay? Now let us study about first upper limb. The upper limb have two parts, the upper arm and the lower arm. You can see in the picture. First, from the shoulder to the elbow, that is upper arm, and from the elbow to the hand, that is lower arm. It has two portions. Understood? Limbs, there are two pair of limbs in our body. First is upper limb and lower limb. Upper limb means the hand or the arm portion of our body, and lower limb means the leg part of our body. Alright. Then what does this upper limb There are two parts of upper limb. That is the upper arm and the lower arm. Upper arm starts from the shoulder to the elbow, and from elbow to the fingertip, it is called as lower arm. Okay. Then the upper arm is made up of a single bone. If you feel your hand here, you can feel a bone in the upper arm. Yes or no? That bone is named as humerus. What is the single bone of the upper arm name called as? It is called as humerus. H-U-M-E-R-U-S. Humerus. It is joined at the elbow to a pair of bone that forms the lower arm. And this humerus, you can see in the picture, it is written there. That humerus is joined with the elbow. Okay, in the lower arm, which starts from elbow to the fingertip. And the lower arm consists of two pair of bones. In the front side and in the lower side. That is called as radius and ulna. R-A-D-I-U-S. Radius and U-L-N-A. Ulna. The front part is called as ulna and the lower part is called as radius. Alright? And students, a number of small bones form the hand which is attached to the lower arm. Small bones means the bones that you have in the finger. That is attached to the radius and ulna, which forms the fingers and the palm, the bones in your palm. This is the bones of the fingers that you have and the palm. These are the bones that is attached to this radius and ulna. So this is upper limb. Upper limb means the arm or the hand. The bones of the arm or the hand, that is called as upper limb. Okay. The bone that starts from the shoulder to the elbow, that is called as humerus, which is connected to the elbow, and from the elbow to the ankle, the bone that is joined, It is of two pairs. One is known as radius and the other one is known as ulna. Okay, and several other small bones are connected to this radius and ulna, which forms the palm of your hand and the fingers. Okay, now let us move to lower limb. And now students comes the limbs. Now what are limbs? We have two pair of limbs, the upper limbs or arms and the lower limbs or leg. The hand and the legs are called as limbs. What are these called as? These are named as limbs, L-I-M-B-S. The hand or the arm part is called as upper limb and the legs are called as lower limb. The bones or the skeletal that you name, it is called as limbs. Okay? Now let us study about first upper limb. The upper limb have two parts, the upper arm and the lower arm. You can see in the picture. First, from the shoulder to the elbow, that is upper arm, and from the elbow to the hand, that is lower arm. It has two portions. Understood? Limbs, there are two pair of limbs in our body. First is upper limb and lower limb. Upper limb means the hand or the arm portion of our body and lower limb means the leg part of our body. Alright. Then what does this upper limb There are two parts of upper limb. That is the upper arm and the lower arm. Upper arm starts from the shoulder to the elbow and from elbow to the fingertip. It is called as lower arm. Okay. Then the upper arm is made up of a single bone. If you feel your hand here, you can feel a bone in the upper arm. Yes or no? That bone is named as humerus. What is the single bone of the upper arm name called as? It is called as humerus. H-U-M-E-R-U-S. Humerus. It is joined at the elbow to a pair of bone that forms the lower arm. And this humerus, you can see in the picture, it is written there. That humerus is joined with the elbow. Okay, in the lower arm, which starts from elbow to the fingertip. And the lower arm consists of two pair of bones in the front side and in the lower side. That is called as radius and ulna. R-A-D-I-U-S. Radius and U-L-N-A. Ulna. The front part is called as ulna and the lower part is called as radius. Alright? And students, a number of small bones form the hand which is attached to the lower arm. Small bones means the bones that you have in the finger that is attached to the radius and ulna, which forms the fingers and the palm, the bones in your palm. This is the bones of the fingers that you have and the palm. These are the bones that is attached to this radius and ulna. So this is upper limb. Upper limb means the arm or the hand. The bones of the arm or the hand, that is called as upper limb. Okay. The bone that starts from the shoulder to the elbow, that is called as humerus, which is connected to the elbow, and from the elbow to the ankle, the bone that is joined, it is of two pairs. One is known as radius and the other one is known as ulna. Okay, and several other small bones are connected to this radius and ulna, which forms the palm of your hand and the fingers. Okay, now let us move to lower limb. And now students, what do you mean by lower limb? Lower limb means the legs. The bones of the legs are called as lower limb. Okay. Now see, the lower limb also have two parts, the upper leg and the lower leg. It has also got two parts as it was present in the upper limb. Yes or no? the arm and the wrist portion. So now in lower limb there is also two parts, that is the upper leg and the lower leg. The upper leg is made up of a single bone called as femur or the thigh bone. The upper leg consists of the thighs, the thigh portion, the fat portion of your leg, that is called as thigh. Okay, and the bone which is present inside the thigh, that is called as femur, F-E-M-U-R, femur. Alright, and it is the longest bone in the human body. This femur is the longest bone in the human body, and it is only a single bone that connects the knee and the hip. Okay, from the hip to the knee, only a single bone constitutes the thigh. Alright, then the lower leg is made up of two bones, and the lower leg, it is of two bones, as we had in the lower arm. Yes or no? That was, what did I say? The lower arm, it was ulna and, what was the name? Ulna and radius. And in the same way, the lower leg also have two bones attached with each other. The front side of your leg, that is called as tibia. What it is called as? Tibia, T-I-B-I-A, tibia. Okay, and the back portion, it is called as fibula, F-I-B-U-L-A, fibula. Alright, the feet are made up of number of smaller bones, and these later on it forms the smaller. Your feet is made up of number of smaller bones. You can touch it and you can feel the bones in your feet. The finger of your feet are of tiny bones, smaller bones, that is connected to the fibula and tibia, and this tibia and this femur is connected with each other in the knee portion. Okay, so this is all about the lower limb. Lower limb also have two parts, that is the upper leg and the lower leg. Upper leg is the thigh portion of your leg, and the lower is from the knee to the feet. Okay, the femur is the only bone which is present inside the thigh, and the fibula and tibia is the another two bones that is connected with this femur. Okay, so these bones constitute the lower limb. These bones makes the lower limb of your body. Alright. And now students, let us study about the girdles. Girdles means the bone that is present in your hip. The bones that is present in your hip, that is girdles. Okay, girdles are ring-like bony structure connecting the skull and vertebral column to the upper and lower limb. What does it connect? It connects the skull and the vertebral column. That means from the head to the feet. All the skeleton of the body parts is connected to this girdles. Okay, there are two girdles present in a human skeleton, the shoulder girdle and the hip girdle. The shoulder girdle that is present in your shoulder portion, which connects the neck and the upper body part, and the hip girdle, it connects the lower body part to your upper body part. Okay, the shoulder girdle connects the upper limbs to the body. Upper limb means the arms to your body. It is made up of collarbone. This is the collarbone. The bone that is present in your neck, it is called as collarbone, and the shoulder blade. This is the shoulder blade. Okay, and the hip girdle connects the lower limb to the hip. To the hip or body. It connects the lower limb to the hip or the body, to your upper body. This lower girdle, it connects your legs and your upper body together, and it gives a framework, a whole structure of the body. Understood? So now let us move to the next topic. And now students, what are the function of the skeletal system? See, the function of skeletal system are as follows. The skeleton give shape and support to our body. What does this skeleton gives us? It gives shape and support to our body. Okay? Without the skeleton, our body would be floppy like a jelly. Floppy like a jelly means it will have no shape and you may be floating around. Your body will be floating. It will have no shape, just like a jelly. When you keep a jelly in a plate, it keeps on floating here and there. Yes or no? So it means that without skeleton, our body would have no shape and it would have got no support. Okay? Then different parts of the skeleton protect soft internal organs. And why is this skeletal system very important? Because it protects the soft internal organs of our body, like the heart, the lungs, the brain. These are the soft organs that is protected by the skeletal system. Okay. See, the skull protects the brain. The skull, it protects the brain. The rib cage, it protects the heart and the lungs. Okay. Then the backbone, it protects the delicate spinal cord. This backbone, it protects the delicate spinal cord, which is a very necessary part of the nervous system. You will read this about the spinal cord in the nervous system. Okay. Then the skeletal system allows the movement of the different body parts. Without the skeletal system, we will not be able to move our body parts. The skeletal system helps in the movement of the different body parts. Okay. Then many bones in our body are hollow. What does it mean? Many bones in our body are hollow. It means it has got some space which are filled with jelly-like structure called as bone marrow. Bone marrow are the jelly-like substance that is present inside the bone, and blood cells are produced in bone. The blood cells which is produced in our body, it is produced from the bone marrow. You will read this about in your higher classes. What is this bone marrow? Okay, this bone marrow inside the bone, it is a hollow-like structure inside our bone, the bone marrow is present, which produces the blood cells in our body, which makes the blood in our body. The cells that makes blood in our body are the blood cells, which is present in the bone marrow. Okay, so these are some functions of the skeletal system. I repeat once again. Like the skeleton gives shapes and support to our body. Without skeleton, we will not be able to hold our body, okay, or else it will be like a floppy floating around. And the different parts of the skeleton protects the different soft organs, like the skull protects the brain, then the rib cage protects the heart and the lungs, then the backbone protects the delicate spinal cord. Okay, the spinal cord is protected by the backbone. Then the skeletal system, it allows the movement of different body parts and many bones that are hollow in our body, which are filled with bone marrow. And the blood cells in our body is produced in the bone with the help of this bone marrow. Okay. And now students, let us study about the joint. Now what is joint? We studied about the skeleton, right? These skeletons are joined with each other with the help of these joints. Yes or no? The neck is a joint, this portion is a joint, the shoulder portion is a joint, the wrist portion is a joint. All the bones are attached with each other, and the place where two or more bones meet is called the joint. A joint is a place where two or more bones meet. Okay? Bones are held together at the joint by special tissue called ligament. Ligament is a tissue which holds the bone together. What is ligament? It is a tissue which holds the bones together. Okay. A tough elastic tissue called cartilage is also present on the surface of the bone at the joint. Cartilage is the soft bone that is present on the surface of the bone. What is cartilage? It is an elastic-like tissue. Okay, it is an elastic-like tissue which is stretchable, which is present on the surface of the bone. That is called as cartilage. Okay, most of the joints are movable, and the joints are movable. You can move your wrist. Yes or no? You can move your wrist with the help of what? Joint. You can move your head up, down, different sideways. How can you move? With the help of this joint. You can move the ankle of your feet with the help of the joint. Okay? And students, there are 4 types of movable joint. How many types? There are 4 types. The first one is ball and socket joint. The first one is ball and socket joint. Then the second one is hinge joint. H-I-N-G-E. Hinge joint. The third one is pivot joint. And the fourth one is gliding joint. These are the 4 types of movable joint that is present in our body. First is ball and socket joint. Second is hinge joint. Third one is pivot joint. And the fourth one is gliding joint. Okay? So now students, what is ball and socket joint? What do you understand by this ball and socket? That means the joints which are in the form which is round in shape and which is attached to a specific portion. That is ball and socket. See, this type of joint allows movement in many directions. The ball and socket joint, it allows movement in many different directions. See, in this type of joint, the ball shaped end of one bone fits into the cup shaped end of the another bone. A bone which is round in shape. Suppose this is the round shape of the bone and this is the cup shape of the bone. It gets fixed into it together. That is ball and socket. That means it can move. It can move freely around. That is ball and socket joint. Okay. Suppose this is the round portion of the bone and this is the cup shaped portion of the bone. It gets fixed into it together, and with the help of which it is movable. It can be moved into different directions. It can be moved. Okay. So that is ball and socket joint. The shoulder joint. The shoulder joint. You can move your shoulder round, right? This joint is the ball and socket joint. This is the round portion of your arm. From where the arm is starting, this is the round portion of your arm, and it is fixed to the cup-shaped portion of your shoulder. This is the cup-shaped portion of your shoulder, and this is the arm. Okay, so this is the ball and socket joint, by which you can move your arm into different direction. You can move it anti-clockwise also, you can move it clockwise also. Yes or no? So the shoulder joint is an example of ball and socket joint. I hope you understood this. Now let us move to the different joint, another joint. And now students, the hinge joint. What is hinge joint? This type of joint only allows back and forth movement. That means back and forth means only a way, whether it will be front or back, or it will be left to right. Only back and forth movement. It cannot move in the whole direction, in different direction. Okay. See, it works like the hinge of the door. How do we open a door? Outside and inside. Yes or no? We cannot open it in the all direction. Okay. See, bones in the knee, elbow, fingers and toes have this type of joint. You can move your elbow straight and back. You cannot move it in all direction. Can you? No. And even the knee, we can move it front and back. We cannot move it in the whole direction, in different direction. Yes or no? So, the bones of the Knee and elbow are example of this hitch joint. Even the fingers and toes, the bones of the fingers and toes are example of hitch joint, which have the movement only back and forth movement. That means in the same direction, just like we open a door, inside and outside. Yes or no? In the same way. Now what is pivot joint? P-I-V-O-T. Pivot joint. This type of joint allows you to move your head up, down and sideways. You can move your head up, down, left, right. Yes or no? This is the pivot joint, which is connected with your neck. It is found between the head and the first vertebra of the backbone. Vertebra means the first bone of your back. That is vertebra. Here vertebra, it is in singular. Only the first bone it is said, that is why vertebra. If it is vertebrae, that means it is in plural form. Okay, so the bones of the neck, it is an example of pivot joint, which help you to move your head up, down and in sideways, left to right. Alright? And students, the next is gliding joint. Now what do you mean by gliding joint? This type of joint allows the bones to slide against each other in a gliding motion. It is found between the bones of wrist and ankle. The bones of your wrist and the ankle, it is called as gliding joint, through which you can move your wrist up and down. Even your feet up and down you can move. Yes or no? So that is gliding joint of your body. Alright, so these are the different joints of the skeletal system of your body, through which the different bones meet each other, where the different bones are joined each other with each other. That is called the joints of the bones or of the skeletal system. Okay. So now students, let us study about cartilage and muscles. Okay. In addition to bones, cartilage and muscles also help us in movement. Though bones help us in the movement of the body, along with bones, cartilage and muscles is also important for the body movement. Alright. Now, what is cartilage? This cartilage holds the bone together at the joint. It also protects the bones. What does this cartilage do? It is the soft part of the bone, okay? It joins the two bones. When the two bones meet at a particular region of your body, that is called as joint, it holds the bone together and it also protects the bones. Okay? Without cartilage, the bone would rub against each other and wear out. If there is no cartilage, if there is no protection between the two bones, then it might rub each other. It might rub each other and it might wear out. That means the bones will wear out easily. Some organs such as nose and ears have cartilage too. Your nose and ears have the soft bones, that is called as cartilage. I hope you understood this. And now students, what is muscles? Muscles are tissue that cover the bones. Our bones is covered by muscles. As our soft inner organs are covered by the skeleton, in the same way, our bones, our skeleton or our bones is covered by muscles. It is the soft tissue, or you can say muscles are the tissue that covers the bones. Alright, they are attached to the bone with the help of special tissue called tendons, and these muscles, they are attached to the bones with the help of special tissue which is called as tendons. Tendons attach the bones and muscles together. Alright. Both muscles and bones work together to make movement possible. With the help of these bones and muscles, we are able to move our body. They also help in important processes such as digestion. Okay, there are some muscles present inside our body which helps in some different processes like digestion. Okay, our stomach is also a muscle. Our stomach is also a muscle which helps us in digestion. So what is muscle? It is the tissue that covers the bones, and the muscles and bones are connected or are attached to each other with a special tissue which is called as tendons. Tendon is a special tissue which attach the muscles and bones together, and with the help of these muscles and bones, the movement of the body are possible. And these muscles, it also helps in some different processes like digestion. Why? Because our stomach is also a muscular part of the body. It is also a muscle. Alright? And students, there are three types of muscles. Okay, the first one is skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle and smooth muscles. What are the three types of muscles? Those are skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles and smooth muscles. Okay, now what is skeletal muscles? Skeletal muscles help in movement. These skeletal muscles, it helps in movement of the arms, movement of the leg. Okay, muscles in the arms are examples of skeletal muscles. These are the only type of muscles which we can control directly. These skeletal muscles are also called as voluntary muscles. Voluntary means V-O-L-U-N-T-E-R-Y. Voluntary muscles means which you have control. The muscles which you have control. You can move your arm as you wish, right? You can control the movement of your arm. Yes or no? When you walk, you can control the movement of your legs. Yes or no? So, these are the voluntary muscles. Okay, these are the only type of muscles which we can control. That is, if we want to move our arm, we can control when and how to do it. Yes or no? We can control the movement of our arms and legs. So that is why these skeletal muscles are also called as voluntary muscles. Voluntary muscles are muscles which you have control over. That means you can control the movement of the muscles. Okay? Now what is cardiac muscles? Muscles in the heart are example of cardiac muscles. The muscles that you have inside like stomach, heart, these are the muscles which are considered to be said as the cardiac muscles. Okay, we do not have any control over this type of muscles, and the type of muscles which we have no control over it, those muscles are called as involuntary muscles. What are they called as? Involuntary muscles. I-N-V-O-L-U-N-T-E-R-Y. Involuntary muscles. Okay, we do not have any control over this type of muscles. They work automatically. Can you control the heartbeat? We cannot control, right? It is automatically. It works automatically. The function of the stomach, can you stop if you wish to? No, we cannot, because it is involuntary. It has the involuntary movement. Okay. So this is the cardiac muscle. Alright, and what is smooth muscle? Muscles in the digestive system are example of smooth muscles. Okay, and we do not have control over this type of muscles either. I already told you, the muscles of the stomach, heart, these are all involuntary because we cannot control the movement of these muscles. Alright, so these are considered to be as involuntary. The cardiac and the smooth muscles are involuntary in nature because we cannot control or we have no control over them. Only the skeletal muscles are voluntary as we can control the movement of the skeletal muscles. Alright, so students, there are three types of muscles: skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles and smooth muscles. Okay, in the next slide you will see the picture. So students, these are the different types of muscles, okay? Skeletal, cardiac and smooth muscles. Skeletal muscles are the muscles of your arms and legs. Then cardiac muscles are the muscles of your heart, okay? And the smooth muscles are the muscles that is present in your stomach. Okay, so these are the different types of muscles. So student, today we studied about the skeleton, the muscles, yes or no? And the cartilage, and also about the joint. So in the next class, I will teach you the nervous system of this chapter, the second part. In the second part, we will study the nervous system. Okay, so students, till then, take care of yourself. I will see you in the next class.